Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Healed and Chilled. And today we have yet another wonderful, amazing special guest. And you guys know I like to have allow the guest to have control of the narrative. So if you would, can you please introduce yourself in your own words from your own point of view, and we'll dive right into the interview.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Coach Anna.
Yes.
I guess just a little bit of an intro for me. My name is Maddison Sutton. I am a holistic lifestyle coach and a functional diagnostics and nutrition practitioner. And I support women in the corporate space, really finding their alignment, finding their
Mm,
health, finding their way back to beauty, confidence, and kind of who they want to be. I have a background in the corporate space. I was in engineering and
oh,
sales for a
wow.
long time. And I have had a really long journey kind of to where I am today. I have had a lot of personal experiences and experiences through loved ones experiencing sickness and
Mm,
just really have come to the conclusion that so many of us are sick today because we are so out of alignment and so out of touch with
mm.
ourselves and our bodies. So that is really why I'm here and why I do what I do.
Absolutely. So, how did you move from the sales world and the corporate world into more of a holistic wellness space? Because I used to work in sales as well, and it's definitely not the most serene mentally because you have your quotas. And when you meet your quota one quarter, it's like, oh, great. Now, next quarter, you have to meet it plus, and it's intensified. So, that's quite the contrast there. So how did you go from sales and corporate life to, okay, now I want to focus on wellness and alignment?
Yeah. So I think I'm very intuitive and I think I have had this pull for a very long time.
Mm.
When I was in the engineering space transitioning into sales, I even started an anonymous blog about
Oh, wow.
health. And I feel that I was being sort of like pulled in that direction, but I got a little sidetracked with my sales role. I loved it. It just felt right for me at
Mm,
that time. And I kind of think it was sort of like priming me and getting me ready for what I'm doing now. It really helps so much with helping me overcome things like public speaking and confidence. So
mhm.
I almost feel like I needed to go down that route to be where I am today. I ultimately ended up leaving sales when my father was diagnosed with cancer. He
Oh,
was
sorry.
diagnosed. Yeah, thank you. It was a hard time. It was really hard for
Yeah.
me, and I don't even know if I really realized how difficult it hit me. And he did end up passing about, I guess it was about 14 months ago.
Oh,
So
man. Sorry.
yeah, it was very difficult. The timing of it has been super interesting with my journey as a coach.
Mm,
But really that was the push for me. I
yeah.
was supporting really large pharmaceutical companies, really large, billion-dollar businesses. And I think when that's the conversation you're having every day and that's the energy, like the masculine energy and space that you are
Mm,
in, and then something like that takes place, it just kind of halted everything for me.
yeah.
And I tried to push through it and I ended up having like a pretty big like nervous system shut down, I think, just because I was trying to keep pushing in this wrong direction.
Mm,
So physically, I think my body sort of forced me to follow this intuitive feeling that I had had for a long time that I really hadn't had the courage to
mm,
jump into. And I knew that I wanted to work with women. I knew I wanted to work with women that were kind of in that same space that I was. Through a lot of my nervous system healing, I came to the conclusion that we're so interested in gut health and all of these things. And while they're super important, stress is
mm,
just the number one thing that is causing our bodies to just be so out of alignment.
yeah.
So that was kind of what caused the transition.
Wow. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing. And of course, I'm sending my condolences as well. I've noticed a trend as I'm speaking with more people as much as we would like to say, oh, we started this journey because it was all sugar plums and roses. Most people start their passion journeys, including myself, because of a dark time. So just know you're definitely not alone there. And anybody listening, you're definitely not alone there. It's just unfortunately it seems like that's how life works as dark things happen. And that's the thing that really makes you wake up and say, okay, wait a minute. I need to readjust and realign. Something that you've mentioned a lot in this brief time is alignment, again and again, alignment, alignment. And that is such a word that so many people use, but I think everyone has their own version of what alignment actually is. So for you, Madison, what do you consider alignment and how would one know if they're unaligned?
Yeah. For me, alignment is a few things. I think it's a piece.
Mm,
As a feeling, alignment is a peace and a confidence. It is
mm,
peace that I am on the right path, confidence that I am taking steps to be the happiest, healthiest, most fulfilled version of myself while I have this time here. So I think that is the feeling that people have with alignment. And I think I spend a lot of time thinking about what do I really want out of life? And I think that's not a thing that really most people do. I think most of us, I'm 34. I feel like I grew up in the time of you should go to college, you should major in business, you
yeah.
should do these things. Like my dad was a carpenter, he didn't go to college. So he struggled financially because he didn't have that education, he didn't have that business mindset. So of course he didn't want that for me. So I
Mm,
feel like a lot of us were pushed in this direction and we never asked if it's what we actually wanted.
yeah.
I think I've been a bit of a free spirit. Like growing up, I never really knew what I wanted to do. I was like, I just want to be happy, and that's like
Oh.
sort of worked for me in a way. I think it has led me to be okay with making some more heart-led and
Mm,
intuitive decisions. But I don't know that everybody has access to that or allows themselves access to that.
mm,
And I think it leads to, and of course, I work with a lot of women, it leads them to sort of trying to make their life like fit. And it's like a square
mm,
peg, round hole situation. And
yeah.
they're trying to climb the corporate ladder. They're trying to be perfect moms. They're trying to be on the PTA. They're trying to, you know, take everybody to soccer practice. They're trying to be absolutely perfect in everything. And I'm like, so which part of this do you want? Which
Mm,
part of this is making you happy? Is it the mom part? Is it the climbing the corporate ladder part? Is it both? Which part of this is bringing you joy? Which
mm,
part of this makes you happy? And I think the trend that I'm seeing is when women come to me that are chronically ill, I'm like, okay, so where are you out of alignment?
mm,
Like, where are you not happy and fulfilled? Like, where is your cup not being filled in life? Where are you
mm.
maybe not being honest with yourself in life?
Yes, 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 yes. You better there's like a saying where they say you better preach. And so I was going to say that. I definitely agree and I think that as society teaches moms specifically and I don't have biological children. But I just can see society teaches moms like your need kind of comes second. Like what you want comes next. You get to have your dream after your husband has his dream, or you get to have your dream after your kids are grown up. You get to look nice after your kids are in college and things. And so, something that you also mentioned is like leading with your heart and allowing yourself to be led. And looking good and feeling good, because sometimes like when you feel good, you also when you look good, you feel better as well. And sometimes, like, I can know, like, if I'm not feeling good, I'm gonna be looking really, really scruffy. But even if it's just like putting on, and I hate to be superficial, but it's true, just waking up, doing my hair, or putting on some perfume, those small things help. And I think like with moms, and I was actually talking about this with a guest yesterday, is that sometimes moms can feel guilty even because it's like, wait a minute, I'm taking away from my child, or like I'm taking away. So how do you help with women balancing, okay, like you're not taking away, you're actually giving to yourself. And they always say, even like at the airports and things, or the airlines, put your mask on first. But a lot of moms would never put their mask on first if the plane is going down. And my mom is one of them. She would be like, you want my baby to not have air? No, she would never do that. But to some degree, it can end up being a bad thing down the line, because then when who's giving to mom when mom isn't giving to them to herself. So just curious, what are your thoughts on about all of what I just said in general?
Yeah. So I'm the same as you. I do not have any children. But and so, and that does give such a different perspective. And I watch
Mhm.
my sister, she's like the tightest and closest example to me. Um, and it is so difficult for her to create time for herself. And I feel like this is maybe a worn out saying, but like you can't really take care of others
Mm.
if you do not take care of yourself first.
Nope.
And I think maybe a good example of this in my life was when I was working in the corporate space. I was making way more money. I was making a good salary on paper. I was really, I guess on paper, I was able to take care of myself, but I wasn't happy. And because I didn't have, my cup was not being filled in that way,
Yep.
I wasn't able to show up in the way that I wanted to for my partner.
Mm.
I would get off of calls and I'd be mad, or I'd be stressed, or I'd be upset. And it ultimately kind of like trickled into other parts of my life. If we went on family
Mm.
vacation with my nephews or my father who was sick, I don't feel like I could show up because I was
Mm.
stressing about this job and I just was not as happy of a person. So, and I think that that example, maybe it's not the mom example, but I see that for a lot of other women. And I
Mm.
think something that moms need to consider is that your children love you too. Your children also
Aw.
want you to be happy. Um,
Yes.
my mom struggles a lot with mental health issues.
Oh.
And I saw her when we were younger, not choosing to go out with friends, not choosing to,
Mhm.
you know, maintain a community. She made us her life. And
Mhm.
when my parents got divorced, when we got older, she still kind of continued to only pour her energy and time into
Mhm.
us. And it ended up actually really being very unhealthy for her. And as a child, all I really wanted was for my mom to do something for her, to be
Mm.
happy. I wanted her to be happy. And I think that's such a good example for moms to
Yeah.
show their children is like my health is important. The way
Mm.
I feel about myself, feeling confident in my body, that's so like, I could ask any of my friends and they would say their moms weren't confident or happy in their
Mm.
bodies. It's hard to teach your daughter confidence and happiness if you don't have that. So I just, it's not, it feels like you're being selfless, but I think it really is harmful down the line.
Mhm. I definitely agree. And so as a children's confidence coach, I see it from the other side as well. And a lot of times the biggest question parents will ask, or if I'm like guesting on someone's podcast, they'll say like, well, how can I help my child develop confidence? And I always go back to what you just said is the best way you can help your child develop confidence is by being confident, because children do what they see and what they witness more than what you say to them. So even if you tell your child, "Oh, I believe in you," but then you reflect behaviors that show you don't believe in yourself, even though you're telling your child you believe in themselves, you're not showing them an example of what they can replicate. And so it can end up, like you said, hurting them down the line. Um, so I'm wondering, are there any patterns that you're seeing with your clients and things? Because with social media and it's like there's it's everywhere. Everywhere we're seeing just the highlights, the best moments of people's lives. We're seeing I say like the representative of people. We're not seeing the truth and the real authentic layers behind the perfection. And with the children anyway, it's creating a false sense of what reality is, a false sense of, oh, I want to look like this model or this actor. And like the actor doesn't even look like that. And so I'm seeing it with the children. So I'm wondering, based on how society is moving, are you seeing any patterns with the women that you work with your clients? And what are those patterns that you're coming across?
I definitely am. I actually have been interviewing women since April. I've just been reaching out to a lot of women in the corporate space, asking them questions, what
Mhm.
hurdles they're running into. And so many women that are in like the perimenopause, menopause phase, maybe even a little bit younger, I'll ask them questions about what they're doing for their health. And they're like, sort of these scripted,
Mm,
comments. Oh, well, I eat this way and I fast and I go to the gym and I, try to do these things. And it's like I know what they're gonna say before they even open their mouth because they all say that. And it's because that is what social media is telling them they need to do for their health and well-being. And they feel guilty like talking to a health coach. Something that I really hate, honestly, as a health coach is when people talk to me, they try to tell me what I want to hear. Like, oh, I'm eating this way and this way and
mm,
this way. And it's just this they feel this need to put up this like facade of I'm doing all the things that social media is telling me I am supposed to do to be healthy.
mm,
And the truth is, none of those things are really working for them because they don't feel good for them. They're just what they are being told
mm,
on a 60-second reel they should do to completely transform their health. And something I am really working towards to combat this is being very vulnerable and honest on my
mm,
social media that it's taken me 15 years to get here,
mm,
you know, and it is not because I do everything right every day. It is not because I go to the gym every day. It's because I ask myself, what do I need today? Like,
mm,
what feels good for me today? What will fill me up? If I wake up and I'm not in a good mood or I don't have the energy, like really asking why is that and what can I do to right that? So, yeah, I honestly think social media is just so bad. Um, I also think it really plays into, we want to automate everything. We want everything to be quick. We want everything to be
yep,
efficient. All of us are so, so busy. I saw something, I think it was yesterday, and it was like, we have all this technology to help us do things quicker, but we're still busier than ever. It's like none of it's
yes.
working. None of it is working. So, maybe trying to get maybe stop looking so much for that external advice. Like if
Mm,
you really want to make an improvement in your health or in your life in some way, work with somebody on that. Like
yep,
really devote time, space, and intention to to improving that specific thing. I think about like therapy, health coaching. Like,
Mhm.
if you really want to improve it, it's something you're going to have to be intentional about. You're not going to fix it by looking at a reel.
Yes, and, I think you said that you painted a very great picture because with our microwave society, like everything is so instant. And so there are videos where it's like, hey, fix your self esteem in 30 minutes and fix your this. And it's like, it took however many years of whatever the negative or toxicness that was being poured into you. It's going to take more than a month, even more than a year, more than 5 years, like however old you are before you decided to start improving, you have that much to deal with to get through, but it's not impossible. So, someone like yourself, what services do you provide for people so that they can get on that journey? Because it is not something like Jim Ron says that there's a difference between simple and easy. It's simple enough because there are things that you can do, even if you need help or need to learn, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's easy because healing and working through whatever you're dealing with, life has a way of really handing an interesting deck of cards. And the longer you're on earth, the more interesting the situations that you encounter. So if someone were to say, hey, you know what? I'm ready to improve. I'm ready to work towards becoming a better version of myself. How would they work with you? What type of services do you offer? And like, how would they know, okay, I'm a good client to work with you.
Yeah. So I work with women who are ready to make positive changes to their health.
Mm,
I when start working with a client, I work with them for a 5 month period, a 5 month minimum. And the reason that I do that is because making positive change to your health, especially if you are struggling with, chronic, some sort of chronic condition,
mm,
infertility, like these things take a long time. So I think if you are not sure if you're somebody that wants to work with me, like, are you a woman that is absolutely committed
mm,
to improving your health in your life? And if the answer to that is yes, then you're a person that I want to work with. I really specialize in looking at somebody holistically. So I do functional lab testing to understand where is your health at right now from
mm,
a physical perspective. Where is your body in balance? So we look at hormones,
mm,
digestion, detoxification, what kind of diets are best for you. And truthfully, that is like the very masculine sort of side of my business. And I find that that's kind of important for some people because they need those numbers. They
mm,
need to be able to see, okay, my estrogen is on the ground before they will actually take action.
mm,
So that's sort of like the more masculine side of my business. And then on the more feminine side, it's let's look at your life. Like, how can we start to make positive changes to create balance in the physical body? But
mm.
how can we also look at creating more alignment, more happiness, more joy so that mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you are also healing? Because I don't really think that you can grow and truly heal if you are not looking at all parts at once.
I definitely agree. And it's so cool that you take so many different approaches coming at it from like results and just like, hey, this is the bare facts. This is where you are. And then whether it's with the results or with the mental space, how often do you find that clients will be shocked or turned off even by the results? Because sometimes it's like, oh, I want to do this. But then when you're faced with the reality of like where you are, some can go in to start feeling like bad about themselves and like, oh, I can't believe I'm here. Or I can imagine some might be defensive, like, are you sure? Like, did you read it right? Was that four really a nine? Like, have you ever come across that? And then how do you help your clients work through the initial maybe like shock phase of seeing where they actually are.
Yeah. I have actually not really run into that just because I
Okay.
think a lot of my clients think there's something wrong.
Oh, okay.
And oftentimes it's kind of a comfort to be able to be like, wow, okay, that's why I'm feeling this way. Like it's not
Mm,
just me. And for a lot of women, they come to me initially for weight loss. So I try to approach it as this isn't because you aren't doing the right things. This isn't because you aren't trying. It's because your estrogen's really high. And because of
mm,
that, your body, the chemical messengers in your body aren't allowing you to release this weight. So I try to spin it as positively as I can. And I am personally not I get anxious about lab results. I am a
me
person
too.
that tests really poorly. So, like, I've had some false positives that were really scary, just things like that.
Mhm,
So, I try to be really mindful of that and just let them know I'm not here to diagnose or treat any one thing.
mm,
I am here to help you restore balance to the body and
mm,
homeostasis to the body. And I'm also just a believer that anything can be healed. Like that is just my belief. Um,
yeah,
and so I try to let them know it doesn't necessarily matter what this says because we can get you back to a healthy,
mm.
balanced place.
I love that, and it's just I just really appreciate what you're doing
Mhm.
because I have some relatives who have some illnesses and things, and doctors say, "Oh, well, oh, well," kind of thing. Like this, your time is kind of close. But they were able to rely more on once they got the results, rely on holistic practices and were able to see results that should not have necessarily been possible based on what the doctor initially said. And just for legal reasons, I'm not saying not to listen to your doctor, neither is, but we're not saying anything like that. And though I can say that from not necessarily personal experience, but from the experience of others that I have seen where doctors will basically say, oh, well, this is what it is for you. Too bad. And they're like, no, that's not what it is. That's not the end of my story. So just kudos to you for being an avenue for people to be able to have in a way like a second chance at life, depending on whatever is ailing them. So that's a huge thing. And so I'm curious, how do you balance mentally with the different people that you're interacting with and sometimes like originally I was like a life coach for adults and I realized quickly that I'm too much of an empath to be able to mentally sustain so that's why I started working with children um and you seem like you have like like an empath aura about you and a very healing energy, so I'm curious, how are you able to stay so zen and balanced and in alignment with yourself while also helping people in situations that aren't where they want to be?
Yeah. So I was definitely, I feel like born to be like a fixer. I try to fix everything and that is not a positive. So you're right. It is very difficult because when I get a new client, it is so important for me that they reach their goals. And I think you probably know this very well, but they have to really bring themselves, they have to get
Mhm.
there. I can lead a horse to water, but I cannot, make it drink. So
Right.
what I do, I have I take every morning pretty much between 6:30 in the morning to 11 for me and working
Mm,
on my mental, emotional, spiritual wellness. I go on like 90-minute walks every morning. I meditate, I journal every morning. I make sure that I eat like a very nourishing breakfast, that I get
mhm,
enough water. Like I physically take care of myself. And I do not normally take any client or other meetings until
mhm,
11 because it is mentally draining. It is emotionally draining. And I know that I need that in order to show
Mm.
up well for my clients.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that it takes a very special awareness even to work in a space of like healing and coaching others. And sometimes there are people that will say, well, you're a coach, like why do you have to take time to yourself? And it's like, well, actually, because of being a coach, that's why it's important. And a lot of times people will, I guess, put you on a pedestal and say, "Well, you're up here," and so how are you able also to keep that balance to like, because I you mentioned earlier on your social media that you are very authentic and you tell your truth of what's going on. So have you ever felt like, "Oh man, I'm sharing this, but I'm supposed to be that." And then how do you overcome, if you've even had that experience, how did you overcome it?
Yeah. I experience this a lot actually when I am with friends and family. And so, I mean, my family and my friends, they definitely don't have the same diet that I do.
Mhm.
We are very, I am very particular about what I put into my body. And so, but when I'm with my family, I've kind of just decided like, that's not how they eat. And
Mm.
so, I will typically just eat the way that they eat, and I know that my body is healthy and it's okay. Like it's
Mhm.
okay if I don't eat the healthiest dinner tonight because
Mm.
9 times out of 10 I am. So, and I think by saying that what I mean is I allow myself flexibility. You know,
Mm.
I don't expect my clients to be perfect all of the time, and I don't expect me to be perfect all the time.
Mm.
I, with a lot of my clients, really encourage strength training, but I have not really been doing strength training seriously for the past 2 years. I had my nervous system issues when my dad passed.
Mm.
I know that that's not what I need right now in my life. So I try to be sort of more in a flow state with my health and wellness.
Mm.
And I try to not be too rigid. And I do think some people are like, "Oh, I can't believe you're eating that." Like, I can't believe, but I know I'm well. I know I'm
Mm.
happy. I know I'm healthy. And if that's how they want to look at me, like that's kind of on them,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So,
Exactly. Exactly. Beautifully stated. Beautifully stated. And I definitely agree. I think that part of sometimes even healing and developing in general is you have to get out of what other people might label you as or what other people think. Even having a business or doing anything that's contrary to what traditional society says, that this is the way you're supposed to go. Whenever you step out and do something different, it does come with, okay, but this is what I want to do, and being happy and being joyful and all of that is, it's, I like to say it's like a lifestyle thing. Like you have to purposely prioritize positivity, purposely prioritize yourself, and remembering, like we mentioned earlier, that you matter too, especially if you're a woman in corporate America and you're dealing with all the things that women deal with in the corporate life. And if you're the person that's responsible of your household too, it's so many things. So for someone who is like just inundated and just feels overwhelmed, but they know like I want to do better, but they're not at the commitment level yet, but they're like teetering on that. Okay, I know something needs to change. What tips or advice would you give that person who's overwhelmed and wants to do better, but just doesn't even know? Because, like, even if you look on social media and you're looking for, like, there's everybody is offering something, but everybody has an opinion. Oh, you should cut out carbs. Oh, no, eat carbs. Oh, go ground in the mud. Oh, no, don't touch the dirt because there's bacteria. So,
yeah.
what would you say as like a simple way for someone who's overwhelmed, who knows that they want better, but just really doesn't know where to start?
Yeah. So this is much easier said than done, but I think that person has to start letting go of perfection.
Mm.
And that is really, really hard to do. There's like a control aspect to that. And we all have that control that we try to hold on to in certain aspects of our life.
Mhm.
So maybe I would have that person start off by asking themselves, like, how can I show my self respect today?
Mm.
Or how can I honor myself and what I need today? And it doesn't have to be something big. Maybe it can be calling your partner and asking them to pick up the groceries because you're already really busy and you know that they're getting off work a little bit easier and you're going to go pick up the kids.
Mm.
It's these really small ways, like just pick one way every day in which you can honor yourself. And maybe that means that you eat your lunch a little bit slower. Maybe it means you don't go to that networking event that you don't want to go to.
Mm.
Maybe it means you don't have to, maybe it means you ask a neighbor to, take the kids to soccer practice, whatever it might be. It's just, how can I start creating these small acts of love and care for myself? And I think what happens with that is you do create space for more like flow, positive energy,
Mm.
more relaxation in your life. And I think it kind of starts to like trickle down. It's just, how can I release those things that aren't serving me?
I love that. Find a way to respect and honor yourself like one way at a time. I think that
Yeah.
that's really great. And so then there's another side of potential clients and things who, and I even struggle with this where it's like I'm just gonna call it like productivity poison, where it's like if I don't feel productive or if we don't feel productive, then it's like, oh, I'm not doing stuff. Or like, so even the days where I'm like, okay, I'm blocked out this weekend. I'm not going to do anything. Somehow the weekend is like, well, I'm not going to do anything, but I can just edit this video right now. I'm not going to do anything, but I can just. And so like it's like this never ending cycle of like I have to get this done. I have to get this done. I have to get this done. And I'm someone like I mentioned earlier, I don't have any children of my own because I work with children, but I don't have any children. So I can imagine for a working mom who's like the head of their household, who's working in corporate America, who's trying to climb that corporate ladder, and it just never ends because you're like, okay, I did this, I'm going to take a break. Well, wait a minute, there's something else to do. So what would you say to someone in that situation where they're just always have to be doing something, and even relaxing is like, okay, I'm going to lay down, but I'm still going to answer this email, or I'm still going to do this outreach.
Yeah. That is such a hard habit to break. And I feel that way sometimes about my business. And when I was creating my business, especially when I wasn't really getting a lot of clients, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't sit here on a Sunday. Like, I was like, I can't wait for it to be Monday so that I can do work,
Mm-hmm.
because I felt like I wasn't making progress if I wasn't doing something. And I recommend this book, The Seven Laws of Spiritual Success. And one of those laws in there is the law of least effort.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of this thought that, putting in effort does not always equate to success. I mean, we're all familiar with busy work. Like, just because
Mm-hmm.
your hands are moving, just because you are doing something, doesn't mean you're actually like creating positive progress towards your goal. So I would encourage them to really lean into and ask themselves, like, do I really need to do this right now? Like, what will
Mm-hmm.
happen if I don't send that email right now? And it's going to be hard at first because we do think, like, oh, if I don't respond to this person right away, like something bad is going to happen. But oftentimes it's really not the case. And
Right.
it's kind of like a trust muscle that you have to build. And you have to sort of, again, release that control, release that perfectionism. But I have found that I mean, like I said, I don't even start taking calls with clients until 11 in the morning, or I don't even really start
Mm.
working technically on work until 11 in the morning. And I have found so much more success in my business and so much more alignment in my business by
Wow.
reducing the amount of time that I am working, because I am spending that time on things that actually matter
Mm.
rather than just creating busy work that is kind of pointless and not really aligned and not really, getting me clients that are aligned or creating positive work. It's really more me spending, 4 hours spinning and 4 hours working than 4 hours doing something that I love and then 4 hours working. So maybe just asking yourself, like, is this necessary? And is it going to, you know, equate to some sort of positive progress?
Hmm. Very well said. We are coming up on the tail end, so I'm just wondering, and I have like these three cliche questions that I ask everybody at the end. But was there anything that you, because we do still have time, so was there anything that you wanted to talk about or you wanted to highlight that you haven't had the opportunity to speak on yet?
I think we've touched most of it. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I really try to get across to women is to try to step into that more of a flow state. I mean, I love the name
Mm.
of your podcast. Like, just
Oh, right.
chilled and
Thank
healed,
you.
like healed. Like, that to me is it. That is it. Like, in order to heal yourself, you really have to slow down. And I
Mm.
think we are in a place right now in the world, women especially, where, like, we really need to just try to take a step back. So that is
Mm.
absolutely the message that I try to convey to my clients and just all of the women in my life.
Well, I've been in your life for less than an hour and you've definitely relayed the message to me. So, as I give my students, I'm going to give you a signature round of applause for a wonderful, wonderful conversation and a real clear message. I just find it's always cool doing these conversations and things because they always come right when I need to hear a certain message. Somebody says it. So, I definitely appreciate the conversation we've had. And I know that everybody listening will as well. All right. So now for my three cliche questions. The first one is if you can think of a time when you were younger and you were in a darker space, what is one piece of advice that you know now that you really wish you knew back then?
Um, I think for me, I am a believer that everything happens for you.
Mm.
And I think having, like, of course, hindsight is 2020. I have really sort of enjoyed looking back on times in my life when I was younger, like thinking about my parents getting divorced or finding out my parents were getting divorced.
Mhm.
I think that I probably thought the world was ending at that time. And now I can look back, you know, years ago and see how that has actually shaped my life in such a positive way. Not to say that
Mhm.
wasn't a hard, horrible thing, but it's actually ended up being really beneficial. And now I have this beautiful stepmom that's in my life. And, there's so many positive things that can come out of those negative, dark times if
Mhm.
you just continue to move forward and have that belief in yourself and that positivity, that everything will be okay and this thing has happened for you, not to you.
Absolutely. All right. The second one is the internet, just like the universe, works in really mysterious ways. So we never know who's going to listen or watch this later. So is there any person or organization that you really want to work with or interact with that could help you reach a new goal?
Yeah. Person, again, any woman that is feeling stuck with her health and is really ready to feel healthy and aligned and beautiful and confident in her future health. That is the woman that I want to work with. As far as organizations, I deeply, deeply believe in preventative health and wellness.
Mm.
I also very deeply believe in creating healthy habits in women and couples prior to conception. So, any
Mm.
companies out there that is their goal or that is who they work with, that is who I align with.
Absolutely. And the last question, of course, is if someone wants to work with you, learn more about you, become a client, inquire, all those things, what's the best way? Of course, I'm going to put your website in the description, but just what's the best way to contact you and all those details?
The best way is through my website. They can schedule a free consultation with me there. I'm also very open to people just reaching out through my email, which is Madison at wellwithmadison.com.
Awesome, awesome. And before we go, I just in case, was there anything that now that you're like, oh, I really wish I would have said this, or I really wish I would have said that. Now's your last chance for this podcast or for today anyway.
Oh gosh, I don't think so. I think we had like such a beautiful conversation. I appreciate it so much. I love what you do. I love your message. And yeah, I just really appreciate it.
Well, the feeling is definitely mutual. This was a very beautiful conversation, and I'm excited for your journey. I'm sending you so much prosperity, abundance, and health, of course, health and wellness. And you're always welcome to come back. This was a beautiful conversation, and I think that we all can take a lot away from what you've shared, your level of vulnerability, your authenticity, and just your passion for helping others. Clearly it reads through and helping women specifically. So just thank you for what you do. And I know that everyone listening got a lot out of this. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.